Hello, kind people. This is Dmitry, and welcome to my weekly listener recap. Today we're talking about this puzzle. It's by Phi. Phi is one of the very well-known veteran listener setters. I believe his first listener came out in 1983, so 1 year before I was born. And I think Phi is currently based in New Zealand, and he was among the those setters who, in my first year of solving the listener, when I provided the feedback, some setters sent back some kind messages, and Phi was among them. So, I sort of, whenever Phi puzzle appears, I try to solve it, be it in the listener or in some other outlets, which he also compiles for. So let's have a look at this one. So as you can see, it's a carte blanche. It's an asymmetric carte blanche, which is always a little bit of a worry. Bars needn't be shown. And then it says that entering all answers will leave 22 cells blank. Solvers must then rearrange the parts to form a rectangle with no blank cells and highlight a quotation. In 13 clues, the wordplay leads to the answer similarly rearranged. The initial letters of these clues in the given order spell the title of the book in which the quotation is implied. So I solved it on paper, so I will probably have to peek there too for the individual clues and specifically for which ones are the 13. So one comment here is that I had like a very brief discussion after I solved it with one fellow solver, and it seems that 13 letters is not a lot, and so that fellow solver in question actually started by 15 letters, 15 first letters in order should spell the book's title. And so in theory, and not even in theory, I mean, this is exactly what the solver in question did. You could trail through the clues and try and get the book title before actually solving anything. I was not successful in doing that, although, I mean, I had a brief look at the initials. But apparently you can. And so the book in question is Finnegan's Wake, and so this, for example, is one such clue. I'm just trying to remember how it worked. First of all, children should be fed. Oh yeah, so this is one of those. So first of all is A, and then you have so the answer is chalone, which is a growth inhibitor. But the wordplay gives something where lone, which is single, is fed to first of all children. So the wordplay leads to something like this, or potentially I mean, it could, in theory, lead to something like that, but as you see from the other clues that are thematic, the thematic treatment is actually cycling. So you split, and one way of looking at cycling is that you split the clue in two halves, and then you just rearrange them. So maybe let's have a look at another thematic one. Okay, so here is one. Glue a part of staircase. So that provides G from the word Finnegan. And in fact, I think it's... Okay, let's maybe highlight. So it's this F. I think it's then this I, this N, this N, this E, G, A. I'm not even sure oh yeah, no, this N, this S, W, A, K, E. And as you can see, like even, so for some letters it was very obvious, like if you know you're looking for a K somewhere towards the end, it's only here. But for the others, it wasn't kind of, you still need to understand which clue it is. So like this I could easily be that I, and this F could easily be that F, and so on. So, okay, so how does this one work now? So glue is a paste. So this is the answer, and this is what you enter in the grid. But the wordplay gives you a step. Oops. A step, A being this A, and step is a part of staircase. And so, as you can see, again, like this is a cycled version of the answer. So what does that all have to do? Well, okay, the other thing. So obviously with asymmetric grid, it's not immediately obvious how to enter the answers. So what I was doing, you know that you have to have 22 cells blanks. So the dimensions of the grid is 11 by 15. So I, for some reason, I mean, I thought that, 22 is 11 times 2. So I tentatively sort of made these two rows, central rows. I hope I can split. No, I can't split. Yeah, I don't know. Well, because it's 11 by 15, you can't really select two central rows, right? So I, for whatever reason, selected those two. And I guess the reason was that the very first why did I do that? I can't remember by now. But I think maybe this time I haven't really recorded which clues I solved first. But I believe, so whenever you have a carte blanche, you sort of try to split the clues in rows. You kind of try to understand which row this particular set of clues could be in. And I believe what happened is that I think it's actually the last row, that I rather quickly got two last clues in the last row, this being damsel, and so lead is a prime row and it secures manuscript, and this being Miranda, so concern being mind, about being this A, and RA is a familiar abbreviation for artist, and Lin-Manuel is one Miranda. And so I think what I did, I just put those here, and trying to sort of split them by this middle rows. And I was proceeding nicely until at some point I realized that I'm running out of space. So here I had something like Acer for one down and lasts for one across, or I guess it's two across. And then here I would, at some point I realized that I need to put the word ecators. And so I started entering them like this. And so, and then on the other side of the grid, similarly, somewhere here, there was get along that similarly extended in that direction. And so clearly, like, the correct way of entering this all in the grid would be then to just shift these things together. But indeed it was the case that two halves of the grid, the left one and the right one, were disjoint. And so when you fill the grid, you get something like this. So this is me now pushing them together. So on my paper, it was a completely sort of different story, where instead some letters just were outside of the grid. So what does that all have to do with Finnegan's Wake? Well, let me open Wikipedia and read it out from there. So Finnegan's Wake obviously is a novel by James Joyce, extremely unconventional, even maybe more so than Ulysses. But one thing that it says here, describing part one, it says, and I quote Wikipedia, "The entire work forms a cycle, the book ending with the sentence fragment, away, alone, a last, a loved, along the, and beginning by finishing that sentence, river run past Eve and Adams from swerve of shore to bend of bay, brings us by a commodus vicus of recirculation back to Howth Castle and Environs." I'm not sure I pronounced the toponyms correctly. But you can see that bits of this quotation, which kind of makes a full circle, and you need to rearrange parts so that the beginning is at the beginning and then is at the end, is here you have alone, a last, and you have here a loved, and you have here along the river run past Eve and Adams. And that is 14 words and 47 letters in total. And so if we want to form a rectangle, as you can see, this thinks snugly, the extra letters on the left fit snugly here. And so once you do that, you get a rectangle like that, where you can highlight a quotation. Now, the tricky part here is that it's still not immediately obvious how to submit this, because obviously this rectangle could be positioned here, could be positioned there, and could be positioned in the middle, which is what I did, just because of the symmetry. But also maybe the other option is that you actually have to then, cut out this bit here and submit just this bit of the grid and so on, just that rectangle. I'm not sure what is right, and we'll have to wait for the solution. But since there was absolutely nothing said about cutting, it was just rearranging, I imagine that this should be accepted. I mean, I think it's otherwise it's sort of a ground for appeal. But I would say that all four variants probably should be accepted, just the rectangle on its own, because it says that, you form a rectangle with no black cells. It doesn't mean that you have to submit a rectangle with. So, some ambiguity here, and I'm not particularly happy with this. But I hope that this should be fine. So, this was very hard in the beginning, but I think I made some lucky choices on, how I put things in the grid. In particular, I think I was very happy with my decision to do, let some letters fall off the grid and not bother too much about, being accurate and fitting everything in the grid. And that, realizing that you could do it with leaving these two rows empty was a very lucky guess, but it helped me a lot. And then as soon as I realized what the book was, and then you kind of immediately realize what the quotation is partially sort of from this, and you start spotting it, and it sort of helped. I went bottom up and sort of filled the top rows last. Especially I can't remember which corner was the hardest one, northeast or northwest. I'm recording this more or less like almost a week after I solved it. So I think this is a very nice listener on the sort of proper difficulty level. I don't think it will get any of the potty votes, partially because I think there are so many Joyce-themed listeners. I would imagine people might be a bit tired of that. Even I might be a bit tired of that. But yeah, that was very nice. So thanks, Phi, and let's see what this week brings. Thank you for watching. Bye.